Hello there and welcome to Ask Indy.
Hello.
This is the debate special.
Not the debate.
No, it's the debate special. My name's Ian and this is Paul. We're here to talk about the big debate that happened this week on STV between Alistair Darling and Alex Salmond. This was billed as being the greatest political debate of our time. Paul, what did you make of it?
To be honest, I wasn't overly impressed. I thought both sides could have portrayed their argument a lot better than they did, but it just turned into a bit of a slagging match.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was disappointing for a couple of reasons. I thought, well, mainly, it was just two shouty men pointing at each other, and there was an avoidance of issues. Right, they didn't really discuss any of the important issues.
Yeah.
And I don't think, despite what both sides said afterwards, I don't think there was a winner. I don't think either side came out particularly well. What also disappointed me though was the format of it. I don't think the format really allowed for a great debate, because it was weird. The best questions, I would say, actually came from Bernard Ponsonby, the guy that was chairing it.
Yeah.
And some of the members of the audience had good questions. And what really, really annoyed me was somebody would ask a really good question, which would, have put Alistair Darling on the spot, or maybe given Salmond a chance to say something, and they would ask a good question, and Bernard Ponsonby would say, "That's good, we'll remember that and come back to that later."
Yeah, or we'll give the participants a couple of minutes to
And then he didn't.
this.
Then he went, "Right, that's us finished, we'll go back to the studio now." And you were like, what about those questions? You never answered them.
Yeah.
So I felt there was a missed opportunity there. I think the format wasn't good, and I think it was just two men shouting at each other. And this is, as I said, was billed as one of the greatest political debates of our time, and it wasn't. It was just who could shout at each other the most and point at each other the most, which was disappointing.
Well, am I right in thinking this is the first sort of major televised debate in Scottish politics?
I think it is in Scottish politics, yeah. Because we obviously had the stuff with Nick Clegg and Nigel Farage last year, but it was a huge event, and everybody was talking about it before, afterwards, during, and
we had a lot of expectations about it, didn't we?
I think we did. I think what it was it wasn't as convincing as I thought it would be for either side, to be honest. I mean, people were out canvassing yesterday. I know people that were out canvassing for the yes side, and the general feeling on the doorsteps was that they didn't really, like, people who were undecided were still no closer to choosing who they were going to vote for, and they weren't sure who they thought had won. Although interestingly, there have been quite a lot of polls put out yesterday, and I think the most interesting ones were the ones in the tabloid papers. The Sun and the Record yesterday had polls after the televised debate, and they asked people who they thought had won, or who they were going to vote for. And in both papers, the polls came out in favour of yes. I mean, the Daily Record one, you could go online and actually fill it out. There was over 3,000 when I submitted my vote. Didn't you? And there was, at that point, it was 74% yes, which is quite a lot, actually. I mean, if the tabloid readers are voting yes, or saying they're going to vote yes in their numbers, that makes me think that maybe these, because I know what these tabloid papers are like, they work out where their custom base is at, and if they think they're going to lose sales after a potential no vote by coming out in favour of no, they may switch allegiance, because the tabloids,
essentially their agenda is let's make as much money as
absolutely. So if they think the people that read their papers are going to vote yes, they might actually, because I've noticed it in the Daily Record, on the Daily Record's website yesterday when I was looking at this poll, I had a wee look around and there was actually quite a lot of pro-yes stuff, which there wasn't a couple of weeks ago. So
do you think that's going to be a common theme now?
I think it might be. And obviously there's another couple of debates coming up. I know there's one coming up, I think it's the 25th and the 26th. So we'll just see how that plays out.
Yeah.
So again, something else that came across in the debate was the fact that Alistair Darling showed everybody that the pound is basically the main line of argument for the Better Together side, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you and I have we've talked about the pound already, and we think it's kind of slightly irrelevant.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And what was the main point was the fact that Alistair Darling kept saying to Alex Salmond, "And what's Plan B? What's Plan B?" And I thought Alex Salmond handled that quite well, because he kept saying, well, the plan is to keep the pound, to have a currency union, because I want what's best for the Scottish people. I want what's best for the people of Scotland, and it's in the best interest of Scotland. It's also in the best interest of the United Kingdom, but the rest of the United Kingdom. I like the way you made that point. Yeah, it's the best for their economy as well, if we have a currency union. Yeah. And Alistair Darling kept saying, yeah, but what's Plan B? And folk were booing when he wouldn't answer. But you think, well, it's understandable why he's not going to answer. I mean,
Yeah,
there are papers, right? They've published financial papers. We know there's other plans. I mean, there's obviously the idea of having...
It's in the white paper.
Yeah, it's in the white paper.
Big section.
There's
After the last episode, I went
they
and
can
read
have,
some of it.
you know, you can have like just a pound that's not pound sterling. You can have your own currency. You can have the euro. There are other options.
There's
the thing
also
is,
precedent. There's the Isle of Man.
yeah, the Isle of Man has the pound as well.
And
But the reason, I mean, I understand the reason that Alex Salmond would not give his plan B. The main reason is,
well, he didn't want to commit.
well, not just that though. As soon as he says that, that's the front pages of all the newspapers tomorrow. It's Alex Salmond's taking us away from the pound, Euro for Scotland. And they wouldn't mention the fact that he kept saying, yeah, but we're going to get the pound. I want the pound, and we're going to get the pound. There's an unnamed government minister was quoted in The Guardian a few months ago saying, it's inevitable. There's going to be a currency. It could have been Alistair Darling. But there's going to be a currency union. It's in the best interest of everybody. So I understand why he wouldn't commit to Plan B, because Plan B that's not what we want. We want Plan A. And if he said anything about Plan B, that was your headlines the next day. And I think he was right not to be drawn on it. But yeah, interestingly, it was in the papers today. It was in the Independent on the front page. They were saying that Alex Salmond's advisors are actually suggesting that he maybe should publicly outline the other options. Not on the live TV debate, but actually just come out just now and say, look, here are the other options. But, you know, keep on saying that our preferred option is the pound, and the likeliest option is the pound. Yeah. I mean, it was interesting. I don't know if you've seen the picture on the internet today of the Better Together campaigners out yesterday. This is obviously something they planned to do after the debate.
I haven't seen this.
There were Better Together campaigners out with big coins, like cardboard coins, with pictures of Alex Salmond's face on them, and they were giving them to people. And you were thinking, what's the point of that? What does that even mean? Was it. They were going around giving pound coins with Alex Salmond's face on it.
That was the No campaign. I don't know if it was official or unofficial. At some point, it was going on about how Alex Salmond wanted to be the next king of Scotland.
Yeah, but his face on the pound note or his face on the
pound
coin.
That's
partly. But they were obviously, because of the pound thing being the kind of main contentious issue on Tuesday night.
It seems to be the only argument that.
Well, it is. It's almost like that's the only thing they were having a go at Salmond about was the pound. But I just thought, you know, we were talking the other day about how we've not had great levels of political debate, and this is the best they've got, is people walking around with cardboard coins with Alex Salmond's face on them. Another thing that's interesting, obviously we had the obsession with the pound, and then the other thing that I thought was very interesting, I mean, because they were going on and on about how Alex Salmond would not commit to the currency thing. When Alistair Darling was pressed about these, quote, guaranteed additional powers, he couldn't because A, they don't know what they want to give us. Well, they don't want to give us anything, and B, they're not guaranteed, because we keep saying this. They're not written down anywhere. They're not guaranteed unless you were actually been asked to vote for Devo Max. You're not guaranteed more powers.
They started talking about the tax as well. It's like, oh, Scotland will get an increase in the amount of tax it receives back, and like from 15% up or whatever it was. I'm like, well, hang on, with independence, we're going to get 100% of that.
Well, this is what I think is ludicrous. What David Cameron and Alistair Darling are basically saying is, if you vote no to more power, we'll give you more power. And you just think, so wait a minute, we've got the option to have more power. In fact, we've got the option to have full power.
We've got the option to define our power.
Exactly. We can have
or
full
we can
power,
let you define more power for us.
We can have, if we vote no, you'll tell us what power we can have, which essentially means, again, yeah, like you say, we don't have the power, because we don't have the power to decide what powers we get.
Yeah.
So to say, you vote no to power, and we'll give you power, it's like, well, no, you won't. You'll give us paltry stuff that's not really that important, stuff that would be quite convenient maybe for the UK government to be able to blame the Scottish government for.
Yeah.
But it's this idea that you say no to more power, and we will give you more power. You think that's illogical. It's ludicrous and illogical. And I can't imagine, well, I don't know actually, I was going to say I can't imagine many people would buy that, but I've seen a lot of people online saying they're going to give us more power. It's like, well, they're not.
But
they're not. What are they going to give us?
What powers are they going to give us?
They could tell us, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, so the other thing that I thought was funny was the fact that, Alex Salmond was being lambasted for what he was saying about the currency, right? As you said, he said, I want what's best for the people of Scotland, and I want what's best for the rest of the UK. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but isn't that him basically saying it's best for everyone? It's the best of both worlds. And they were slagging him off about that. And
Yeah,
yet,
and that's
what
their
was the
catchphrase.
catchphrase that Alistair Darling said about 7 times? Best of both worlds, best of both worlds. We want what's best for everybody. But that's what Alex Salmond was saying. He was saying, in terms of a currency union, it is best for both economies. It would be best for the Scottish economy and the UK economy if there is a currency union. And he was one bastard. So
he's not the only person to say it. There's people south of the border that have at certain points claimed that as well. And Mark Carney being an example.
Exactly. So yeah, so that's the debate covered, dealt with. Hopefully when we get the next debate in a few weeks' time, there'll be more to talk about other than just how sweaty and shouty and pointed the two men were. Because I think this was a missed opportunity to really engage with people, because the feeling on the doorstep, certainly after the debate, was that nobody was any further forward in terms of understanding what the issues were, and the concerns that people had weren't really addressed. So hopefully both politicians take the opportunity to be a wee bit more positive and try and explain the benefits of independence and the benefits of staying together, because I don't think either side really did that. It was a lot of, especially from Alistair Darling, it was a lot of scaremongering stuff, especially about the pound. And I really do hope that somebody does come out and just say, look, here is plan B and C, but we want plan A, and then that's put to rest. That means that when they have the debate in a few weeks' time, the pound question can't be asked.
Yeah, there's a really good point made about the pound. I know I'm jumping back a couple of minutes, but there was a good point made about the pound, and if Scotland is to diversify into another currency, how is that going to affect the English economy? Because a lot of the strength of the pound is based on North Sea oil at the moment, which presumably we will be taking the majority, if not all of that, with us.
That's an excellent point, because the strength of the pound is based on our oil and what we bring to the economy. So what would have been good then, maybe, I suppose, and what they could do next time is Alex Salmond could say to Alistair Darling, so what's your plan?
No, you take the pound, we keep the oil.
What's your plan B?
Yeah.
When you don't let us have the pound and we take our oil, what's your plan B, Mr. Darling? And then we'll see what his answer is. Will he have an answer?
The question I would quite
then
like
he'll say,
answered,
well, you'll have the pound, because that's not going to work.
The question I would quite like answered is, why should a Scottish voter not vote for independence? Because so far we've got your interest rates might be affected, your interest rates will be set by another country. Okay, now what's in the, like, why should Scotland vote for independence? And I think Alex Salmond could answer that question better in a future debate.
Absolutely. Definitely. Anyway, that'll wrap things up for now. We shall see you. Very smoothly done, Paul. That was nice, because I don't have enough money to put a CG wrapping bow across the screen, so Paul's done it.
I think you should do it with my finger now.
I will. I'll just do that. So, we'll see you next time on the Ask Indy Show. Remember, the email address is appearing at the bottom of the screen just now. If you've got any comments you want to make, email us, leave a comment under the video. We will get back to you. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
See you later. Bye. You could vote yes, you could vote no, you could pretend that you still don't know. I will suggest, I might even confess, what will be best is if you vote yes. Scotland.
Post-independence. The No campaign was right.
Mad Max 4. X Revenge.